Okay, let's unpack this. For this deep dive, we're doing something a bit special. This is actually our final exploration of the incredible Mundaka Upanishad. We've spent some time with it, drawing from teachings based right on the text itself and Sri Sankara's commentaries.
Absolutely. It's been quite a journey through this text.
It really has. So our mission today,
Mm-hmm.
basically to pull together all the most important threads, everything we've looked at,
Right.
and give you a comprehensive summary, a clear understanding of its core message, sort of condensing the essence of the whole Upanishad.
So you can grasp the big picture,
Yeah.
and why it's considered so profound.
Exactly. We've got our sources here, the transcripts, the notes laying out this teaching, starting right from the very beginning, how the knowledge was passed down.
Yeah, the lineage, that's where the text itself kicks off, establishing the weight of this knowledge.
So let's jump right in. What's the most important stuff here?
Well, it starts by tracing its origin. It tells us the teaching began with Brahma, the creator figure, who gave it to his son, Atharvan. Atharvan then passed it to Angiras, who taught it to Satyavaha.
Right, from the Purvajya lineage.
Exactly. And Satyavaha got it from his elders, passed it to the younger Angiras. So it's presented as this direct, unbroken transmission, not just someone's idea.
Knowledge with a pedigree, you could say.
Right.
And this lineage leads us straight to the heart of it, right? The central question.
It does. It sets the stage for the seeker, Sanaka, approaching the sage Angiras.
And what does Sanaka ask? It's a big one, isn't it?
Oh, it's the ultimate question, really. He asks, what is that, by knowing which everything else in this whole universe becomes known?
Wow. Not just asking for facts, but for the key, the root knowledge.
Exactly. The one thing that illuminates everything else. That's the mystery the Upanishad sets out to solve.
And Angiras' answer immediately draws a really crucial line in the sand.
It does. He says there are two fundamentally different kinds of knowledge, aparavidya and paravidya.
Lower knowledge and higher knowledge.
Precisely. And understanding that difference is absolutely key to the whole text.
Okay, so let's look at aparavidya first. The lower knowledge. What kind of things fall under that umbrella?
Well, aparavidya covers basically all knowledge of the empirical world, and importantly, all the ritualistic and scriptural knowledge that aims for specific outcomes.
So, like the Vedas themselves.
Yes, the four Vedas, plus all the things you need to understand and use them: grammar, metrics for the verses, astronomy for timing rituals, the instructions for ceremonies.
So practical knowledge related to scripture and the world.
Right. You could even stretch it to include, modern science, physics, chemistry knowledge of the material world. But the Upanishad's focus here is mainly on scripture-prescribed actions, karma, and meditation, upasana, especially when they're done to get something specific.
Okay, so aparavidya is anything you learn or do or meditate on that deals with results within the changing world, which means Karavidya must be something totally different.
Completely different. Paravidya is the supreme knowledge, the liberating knowledge. This is the knowledge of Brahman.
Brahman being.
The ultimate reality, the non-dual truth, the very cause and essence of the entire universe. The text calls it Atmajanam, knowledge of the self, Ishvarajanam, knowledge of God as the cause, Karanjanam, knowledge of the cause, or Satyajanam, knowledge of the real.
So that's the direct answer to Sanaka's huge question.
That's it.
Okay, so framework established. Two kinds of knowledge. Then the Upanishad really digs into aparavidya, especially that karma piece, the actions and rituals. What does it say about relying only on karma? What are its limits?
It looks really closely at the results you get from rituals, like the Agnihotram fire ceremony. And it acknowledges, yes, doing these things with a desire can get you what you want.
Including heavenly realms, Svargaloka.
Yes, absolutely. Our sources talk about enjoying, divine pleasures there. Sounds pretty good.
It does. So what's the problem?
And here's the first big insight, the catch. The Upanishad is really clear. Those heavenly pleasures, they're temporary.
Not permanent.
Not at all. Once your accumulated merit, your punya from those actions runs out, you have to come back. It's like having a tourist visa, not permanent residency.
You enjoy the sights, but then it's back home.
Exactly. And it also criticizes doing rituals just blindly, going through the motions without understanding. It calls people who think just doing karma will get them liberation, moksha. It calls them mudas deluded.
So karma has its place, maybe for purification.
Yes, if done as karma yoga with dedication, it purifies the mind, and it gives material benefits. But it fundamentally cannot grant liberation.
And why not? What's the core reason?
Because karma works within cause and effect. Its results are always finite, temporary, by definition.
Right.
Liberation, moksha, is understood as infinite, unqualified freedom. You can't get something infinite from something finite produced by action. Relying only on action just keeps you on the wheel, samsara.
The cycle of birth and death, limited results.
Right. True freedom isn't a result you can manufacture through action. That's a crucial insight.
Okay, so karma isn't the ultimate path. What about the other part of vidya, the upasana, meditation? Does that get us any closer?
Well, upasana involves meditating on Ishvara, God. Maybe a specific form, maybe the whole cosmos as God's body, the Virat Rupa.
And like karma, it can bring benefits.
Yes, worldly benefits, even reaching very high realms like Brahmaloka after death. So if you're seeking those results, it's still technically a paravidya.
Still temporary outcomes.
Still temporary. But, and this is a really important, upasana practiced as a discipline, as upasana yoga, plays a vital preparatory role.
How so?
It's incredibly powerful for purifying the mind's citta-shuddhi and developing focus, ekagrata, mental concentration.
Making the mind sharp, ready.
Exactly. It makes the mind subtler, more refined, which is absolutely necessary to even begin to grasp the abstract, non-sensory truth of paravidya. Meditating on formless things, like space, for example, can prepare the mind for the formless reality of Brahman.
So upasana is like sharpening the knife you'll need for the main task.
That's a great way to put it. Crucial groundwork.
Okay, so we've seen the limits of the lower knowledge. Now the main event, paravidya, the knowledge of Brahman, the ultimate cause, the karasham. What is this Brahman like?
Yeah, this is where the focus shifts completely. Brahman, the karsham, the cause, is described in ways totally opposite to the world, the karam, the effect.
Okay.
Brahman is one, ekam, the ultimate essence, saram, the eternal nityam, and absolutely real satyam.
And a key point is how we perceive it, or rather how we don't.
Exactly. It's described as yada dresham, not perceivable by the senses, because it has no form, no color, none of the attributes our senses pick up on.
So not something you can see, hear, touch.
Correct. It's without sense organs, even without a mind in the way we understand it. It transcends all specific qualities. It's called susukshmam, extremely subtle, subtler even than space.
Wow.
And it's avyayam, unchanging, not subject to decay or degeneration. It's the absolute constant behind all the change we see, the fundamental I-S-ness.
The bedrock beneath the shifting sands.
You could say that. And here's a profound point. This one cause, this karan, alone appears as all the variety of effects, the karyam.
It becomes the effect.
Yes, it's both the intelligent cause and the material cause. The term is apina nimitta upanana karyam.
Like the spider and its web analogy.
Exactly like that. The spider is the intelligence, the web comes from its own substance. Or clay and pots. Brahman is both the potter and the clay for the entire universe. It's also described as omniscient, sartvanya, regarding the cause, and all-knowing, sarvidit, regarding the effects.
So if that's Brahman, the cause one, real, eternal, subtle, the source of all, what does that make the world the effect, the karyam?
Well, in contrast, the world is described as many, anakam, non-substantial, asaram. It doesn't have its own independent essence. Fleeting, anitam, constantly changing, and ultimately just appearance, mere name and form, namarupam, basically asatyam, not ultimately real in the way Brahman is.
So inherently unreliable as a source of lasting happiness or security.
That's the insight. It's unpredictable, uncontrollable, unsustainable if you're looking for something truly permanent.
And the Upanishad links these two, Brahman and the world, through this idea of creation as Ishvara, the cosmic person, manifesting.
Yes, but it's crucial how it frames it. It's not that Ishvara made the world like a separate craftsman. Ishvara is the universe manifesting as it.
Okay, explain that a bit more.
From this Ishvara, the cosmic source, everything emerges: life, energy, prana, mind, senses, the elements, space, air, fire, water, earth, oceans, mountains, rivers, plants, everything.
It all comes out of Ishvara.
Not just out of, but as Ishvara. Everything is born of Ishvara means Ishvara alone is appearing as all these diverse forms. Like the clay becomes all the different pots. The pots are nothing but clay in different forms. The universe is nothing but Ishvara in different forms.
And our own actions, karma and upasana, play a role in this manifestation.
Yes, the sources say the universe manifests according to the collective karma and upasana of all the beings within it. Our energies contribute to how this cosmic display unfolds.
So, if this ultimate reality, Brahmaneshvara, is the cause of everything and is everything, where do we find it? Religion often points up there to Vaikuntha or Kailasa.
Right, and that's a key difference.
Mm-hmm.
While religion might locate Ishvara in a specific place, this higher knowledge, this spirituality, guides us to see Ishvara as the Karansam, the essential reality present everywhere.
Everywhere, including here.
Absolutely. The real Ishvara isn't just a person in a heaven somewhere. It's the principle of consciousness that pervades everything, including our own body-mind complex.
So it's not out there to be found, but in here to be recognized.
Exactly. The consciousness within us, the individual spark, is called the Jivatma, or Sakai Taitanyam, the witnessing consciousness.
Okay.
And here comes the absolute core teaching, the Mahakya, the grand statement of the Upanishad. This Jivatma, this individual consciousness you experience as I, is fundamentally non-different, identical in essence to the total, original, universal consciousness, the Paramatma, Brahman.
That's huge. The individual is the universal.
That's the realization Paravidya leads to.
And this consciousness within is also described as the source of illumination.
Yes, it's called the light of all lights, Jyotisham Jyoti. The sun, the moon, the stars, fire, even our own mind and senses. They only shine, they only function, because they are illuminated by this fundamental awareness.
So consciousness is primary.
It is, and its presence within you is described as sanihitam, very, very close, residing intimately within the cave of the heart, Guhavan. The insight is profound. What you're searching for isn't distant. It's the very core of your own being.
So realizing this truth, this identity, is the goal, part of Vidya. How do you actually get this knowledge? It doesn't sound like reading a book or just thinking about it is enough.
No, the Upanishad is very explicit here. It says you must approach a qualified teacher. Sagurum eva apyacha. Go to a guru.
So self-study alone isn't the recommended path.
Not according to this text. The Veda doesn't approve of trying to figure this out entirely on your own. You need guidance from someone who knows the way.
And what makes a guru qualified?
Two main things. They must be Kshatriya, deeply learned in the scriptures, understanding the methodology of the teaching, and Brahmanishta, firmly established in the experiential knowledge of Brahman. They live the truth they teach.
Okay, so finding a proper guide is step one. What about the seeker? What do you need to bring?
The seeker needs readiness, inner qualifications, often called sadhana chatuaya sampatti,
Which includes?
a burning desire for liberation, mumukshu. You have to really want this truth. Plus, ethical discipline. Truthfulness, satyam, is heavily emphasized. Self-control, inner sama, outer dhamma, a calm, tranquil mind, prashantatatitaya, and importantly, renunciation or detachment, sannyasa.
Renunciation meaning giving up everything.
Primarily internal renunciation, giving up the sense of I am the owner, I am the controller, handing over that burden to Bhagavan, to the divine. It's about inner freedom from attachment and ego.
Got it. So you find a guru, you have the qualifications. What's the actual learning process like?
It's traditionally described in 3 stages, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam.
Okay, break those down.
Shravanam is systematic, dedicated listening to the teachings unfolded by the guru, really hearing and absorbing the pointers. Mananam is reflection, using logic and reasoning to ponder the teachings, ask questions, resolve any intellectual doubts or apparent contradictions, making sure it makes sense to you.
And Nididhasanam.
That's deep, sustained contemplation or meditation on the truth you've heard and reflected upon, dwelling on it until the knowledge shifts from being an intellectual concept to your own direct, spontaneous, lived understanding, assimilating it fully.
The Upanishad uses some powerful metaphors to illustrate this, doesn't it? The bow and arrow.
Yes, a very famous one. Om, representing the Upanishadic teaching and the inquiry process, is the bow. Your individual self, the Jivatma, is the arrow.
And the target.
Brahman, the Paramatma. You take aim with a focused mind using the teachings, the bow, and the arrow yourself hits the target, Brahman.
Emerges.
The distance isn't physical, it's the distance of ignorance.
That's beautiful. And the 2 birds, another key image.
Also incredibly insightful. 2 birds are on the same tree, the body. One bird, the Jivatma, is busy eating the fruits, sometimes sweet, sometimes bitter, experiencing life's joys and sorrows driven by its actions.
And the other bird.
The other bird, the Paramatma, just sits there, calmly observing. It doesn't eat the fruits, it's the witness.
So the Jivatma suffers because it's caught up in the eating.
Exactly. It identifies with the experiences. The suffering continues until the Jivatma finally turns, sees the serene glory of the other bird, the witness self, and realizes, that's my true nature too. I am that peaceful observer, not just the eater of fruits. It recognizes its oneness with the Paramatma.
That realization sounds like it changes everything. So what is the result of gaining Paravidya? What does liberation look like?
Well, first off, this knowledge is described as the ultimate shock absorber for life's ups and downs
I like that.
because it destroys ignorance, the root of suffering, and, very importantly, it burns up the seeds of past karma, the sanchita karma that haven't yet sprouted.
What about karma that's already playing out in this life?
That's called prarabdha karma. That just has to be experienced, lived through. But because the jnani, the knower, isn't identified with the results anymore, it doesn't create new binding reactions. Once the prarabdha is exhausted and no new karma is created due to ignorance,
No more fuel for rebirth.
exactly, no karma balance left. So liberation follows, and the Upanishad talks about it in two ways.
Jivanmukti being the first.
Yes, jivamukti, liberation while still living. The jnani attains incredible emotional stability, a profound inner peace. They are free from grief, sorrow, that feeling of being small or incomplete,
How are desires fulfilled?
not by getting more things, but by realizing their own nature is already infinite, already complete. All desires find their ultimate fulfillment in the self. They abide in the bliss of the self, Vidyananda.
And there's that interesting point about truthfulness of resolve.
Right, Satya Sankalpam. It suggests that for such a purified mind, whatever they genuinely intend or will tends to manifest. But because they have no selfish desires, this power is only ever used spontaneously for the good of all, not personal gain.
So Jivanmukti is freedom here and now. What about Vidahamukti?
Vidahamukti is liberation after the death of the physical body. When the jnani leaves the body, there's no journey, no transmigration.
Where do they go?
They don't go anywhere. Their constituent parts, the physical elements, the subtle mind senses, the causal potential, simply merge back into their corresponding cosmic totalities. Virat, Hiranagarbha, Ishvara Vyakta. Like the space inside a pot just becomes undifferentiated total space when the pot breaks.
A merger, not a trip.
Exactly. A merger without travel or transformation because they've already realized their oneness. No more individual cycle.
And this state, this knowledge, is attainable.
The Upanishad assures us it is.
Oh.
For those whose minds are purified through the disciplines we talked about and who possess that sincere, deep longing for freedom, for truth.
Finally, before we wrap up this summary, the name itself, Mundaka. Any insights from the sources on why it's called out?
Yeah, there are a few possibilities floated. Mundaka can mean head, maybe implying this is the chief or head Upanishad among those of its Veda.
Right.
It could also refer to a specific vow, the Mundaka Vratam, associated with students of the Atharva Veda, which this Upanishad belongs to. Apparently, it involved carrying a ritual fire vessel on the head.
Ah, interesting connection.
And another strong possibility connects it to the word mundam, which means shaved head. This would symbolize the renunciation, the shaving off of worldly attachments and ego that's considered essential for truly pursuing and grasping this knowledge.
So all the possible meanings seem to point towards its importance and the kind of commitment required.
They really do. It's presented as a primary teaching demanding a certain readiness and dedication.
Okay, so pulling it all together then. For this final deep dive, this summary of the Mundaka Upanishad, can we just trace that essential journey it maps out one last time?
Absolutely. The Upanishad starts by guiding us to see the limitations, the impermanence of everything we can achieve through lower knowledge, apara vidya, especially through actions, karma, seeking finite results, even heavenly ones.
Showing us what doesn't provide ultimate fulfillment.
Exactly. Then it highlights the crucial role of preparatory disciplines, karma yoga for purification, upasana yoga for focus and subtlety of mind, essential groundwork,
Getting ready for the real thing.
which is para vidya, the higher knowledge, the revelation of Brahman, the ultimate reality. And the core of this revelation is that our own true self, the Jivatma, is non-different from Brahman, the Paramatma.
Realizing that identity is the key.
It is. The path involves finding a qualified guru, dedicated listening, shravanam, deep reflection, mananam, and sustained contemplation, nidishasanam, using the teachings to remove the veil of ignorance.
And the destination of this journey.
Liberation, moksha. Freedom from the fundamental ignorance that causes suffering and keeps us bound to the cycle of birth and death. It's a freedom realized first while living Jivan Mukti, bringing peace, fulfillment, fearlessness, and culminates in final release after death, Videha Mukti.
So let's think about what this really means for you listening now. The Mundaka Upanishad, when you boil it down, is telling you something quite radical.
It really is.
It's saying that the lasting happiness, the absolute security, the sense of completeness you might be searching for, it's not found out there, not by accumulating more things, more status, more experiences.
It directly challenges that entire outward-bound search, showing its inherent limits because the world itself is temporary and changing.
And here's the really mind-bending part, the profound insight it offers. The ultimate reality, Brahman, the source of everything. It's not some distant god or far-off goal.
No.
It suggests that this reality is the very essence, the deepest core of who you already are. It's the consciousness reading these words, the awareness experiencing this moment closer than your breath.
It's not something you need to become or attain, it's something you need to recognize. The infinite isn't just out there, it's intimately present in here as your own fundamental being.
Okay, let's really mull on this. If true freedom, true fulfillment isn't about achieving something external, but about recognizing this unchanging, boundless reality that is your own nature, what does that shift?
What changes in how you approach your life?
What does it change about the things you chase after, the things you worry about, the fears you hold on to? If the ultimate treasure, the source of all peace and security, isn't at the end of some long, difficult quest, but is actually the very ground you're standing on, right here, right now, what then?